How y'all doing? This is Preacher Man R&B, and this is another movie reviews. This time I'm reviewing Too Fast, Too Furious. Now, what happened on this movie is it starts off with Brian waking up from a phone call from Tez, and they need a fourth for this race. So Tez tells Brian he got 4 minutes. So Brian gets there, and then they get to the race and tell the stakes, and Brian wants to boost it up a nickel, and that's what they do. And they do the race, and throughout the whole race, Brian's in second place, and he's trying to pass this guy. And at the end stretch, Tez gets them to raise up the bridge, so it's a ramp, and this guy hits his nos and goes up the ramp, and Brian saves both his nos for the ramp, and he hits them at the same time and goes over the guy and lands in front of him and wins the race. Well, after this, there's this woman there, and Brian knows this woman. It doesn't fit. She doesn't fit up with this crowd. She's not supposed to be there. So he talks to her, and then she leaves, and he says, "Where are you going?" She says, "Time to go." When that happens, cops show up, and Brian tries to get away, and the head of the custom agents shoots this EMP type deal at his car and shuts down his car. So custom agents take him in, and they're asking him if he's Brian O'Connor, and he says, "No, you got the wrong guy." And this is when Bilkins comes in and confirms this is Brian O'Connor. And they uncuff him, and they tell him what they need Brian for. And Verone, this drug lord in Miami, he's been killing a lot of people and taking drugs in and out of the United States, and they're trying to get this guy and bust him. So they got Brian going undercover as a driver, and Brian says the only way he's doing this if he chooses his partner, he's gonna drive with, and that's when they go back to Barstone and meet up with Roman Pierce. And at first Roman fights him and doesn't want to have nothing to do with him, and then Brian and Bilkins tell him if he does this, they'll clear his record and they'll get that ankle bracelet off of him. So Rome agrees, and they go back to Miami, and then they get briefed on what's going on. So after this, they get their new cars, and they go to Verone's house, and Verone tells them that his car has been impounded in an impound lot, and the car doesn't matter, but what's in the car does. So bring back what's in the car, and whoever does, that's the job. So Rome and Brian go race to this place, and they get it. And then the custom agents come in and almost blow their cover. And when they do this, Rome shoots at them and gets away. Well, then they go back to Tez's shop, and Brian gets, I think his name was Jimmy, to check out the cars, because the reason custom agents knew where Brian and Rome was, they got the cars hot wired where they could track them. So they meet up with Tez, and Rome is going to be staying with Tez while they're doing this. And after this, they go back to the custom agents, and they try to jump Rome when they walk in, and then Brian gets them settled down and tells them they almost blew their cover for jumping in like that. And the head of the customs agent said he thought they was running, and Brian tells them they almost got killed, and if Rome wanted this head of the customs agents dead, he would be dead. And Brian pulls out his gun and puts it on the table. Well, after this, Brian tells them what's going down, that they're going to do a job for Verone and take his money to an airstrip. Well, after this, Brian and Rome have to get 2 more cars for this to work. And the guys that they raced against to get the job with Rome is the guys they race for their cars. And they do another drag race, and it's a tag team drag race. Well, Rome starts off first, and he gets beat. And then Brian comes up and wins the race for him. And they get the 2 cars, the SS Chevelle, and it's another car, I don't know the name of that car, but they win the 2 muscle cars. So after this, Verone's guys come to Brian's place, and Fuentes, the undercover cop that's been living with Verone, she warns Brian, tells him that Verone's going to have them killed after they do this job. So Brian gets her out of there before Verone's guys find her, and then Brian goes to custom agents and to Biltons and tells them what's going down, and Biltons wants to call it off because the deal was not to get them to run in an ambush, and the custom agent says that they're not going to call it off. Anybody calls it off, it's going to be him, and he tells them either they do this job or they go to jail. So they get a plan put together, and they do this job, and the cops come in after them, and they lead them to the garage, and they do a scramble, and they get away with the 2 cars that they won from the street race with the guys, the muscle cars. And they get away, and they're going to the airstrip. Well, what happens is Rome's ejection seat that they put Nos in the car to eject the seats out so they could get away. It worked, but Brian's didn't, and they find out that they're not going to the airstrip. They're going to a yacht to give the money to Verone. Well, when this happens, Brian goes there, and Verone gets the money and tells Brian and the guy that's with him to drive off because this guy's going to kill Brian. Well, before he kills Brian, Rome comes in and hits the car, and Brian gets the gun away from him, and they beat this guy up, and then they go after Verone, and Verone's leaving on the yacht with Valentes, and he's about to kill her, and Brian and Rome drive the SS Chevelle and ramp up this ramp and lands on top of the yacht and shoots Verone and stops him. Well, after this, the custom agents come in and they collect the money, and the head of the custom agents asked, "Is that all the money?" And Roman asked, "Are they clear?" And he says yes, and then Roman brings the next 3 bags and says now they're even. And after this, Rome and Brian's walking away, so they're about to leave, and Brian says that he wants to start up a shop with Rome, and Rome asks him how's he going to do that, and he says his pockets ain't empty. And then Rome pulls up his shirt and says we ain't going to be hungry anymore either because he got some money too. And that's the end of the movie. I really love Too Fast, Too Furious. It's my favorite movie out of the whole entire franchise of Fast and Furious. I actually watched this in the movie theaters when it came out with my dad and my mom and my little brother, and I love this movie. My favorite part of the movie is the first race with the Nissan Skyline, and when it shoots up over that car, that's my favorite part of the movie. And one day I hope to maybe get a Nissan Skyline like that and make a replica of it, and that's my dream car. I would love to have that car. But anyway, what did y'all think about Too Fast, Too Furious, and how did y'all like this movie out of the series? As always, the Preacher Man R&B signing out. Guys, GG is awesome. See y'all next time.